Hi.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Rhea.
Hi.
Wonderful to have Rhea with us today. My name is Anshu, and I'm from the WICCI Karnataka Yoga Council. We are a state level council, and we represent the yoga sector of the Women's Chamber of Commerce and Industry. This is a voluntary council. We are basically a strong team of women from diverse fields and yoginis from different lineages and schools of yoga. And our objective is to make a difference to the various projects that are undertaken for yoga. And the basic pillars that we cover are advocacy, community, funding, and governance. My name is Anshu Vyas Seetharaman. You're welcome to this Facebook Live. And I have here with me Rhea Deepak, who's a young yoga teacher. Rhea did her undergrad from Christ College, which is Christ University, Bangalore. And then she's gone into yoga and she did her yoga certification from India Yoga. And let's talk to Rhea first about her background and what she's doing currently.
All right. Hi, Anshu. Thank you so much for that introduction. I would like to say my name again. I'm Rhea Deepak, and I am born and brought up. I was born and brought up in Bangalore itself.
Mm-hmm.
I did my schooling in Sapphire High School, and I did my college in Christ Junior College, as well as my degree in Christ University. I did my bachelor's in arts in economics, psychology, and sociology. I graduated in 2016, right? I had no idea that I wanted to get into in the field of yoga at all at the time. I was still just, exploring my options, just like, wondering what to do next. I think everyone goes through that phase. Not everyone is too sure of what they want to do. My parents, however, wanted me to do my master's, and they wanted me to do an MBA. So I did my GMAT training. I went for classes. I did all of that during my college days. And I wanted to pursue my MBA. However, before that, I wasn't too sure, because doing your master's, you need to be completely sure of what you want to pursue, right? So I wasn't sure. So I told my parents, I was like, why don't I get a little work experience in before applying to colleges? And they were completely okay with that. And looking for job opportunities, I found one in Chennai in Zomato. So I got a placement.
That's interesting.
There. Yeah. So I got a placement there, and I didn't want to get into sales. I wanted to do HR. But they told me that the only position opened is in sales. And if I do that for a while, they can, if I join the job and I got the job, go for the interview and I got the job, they said in like down 6 months down the line, they probably see to shifting me into HR once there's an opening. So I thought that's a better option rather than me waiting, to get a position in HR elsewhere and, wasting my time. So I was like, okay, this is also an opportunity. This is also a learning. So I took the job. Okay. I went for the interview. I got the job. And hence I shifted to Chennai in 2017. Oh. And I was working with Zomato for a year. And I mean, to be honest, I loved it to begin with. Like the first 6 months, I had a ball, because new people, new place, new job, so much learning, so much, something very different, something very new, something I've never done before. It threw me out of my comfort zone completely, because I had to do sales in a language I had no idea how to speak. So I was learning a new language as well as, exploring a new city. So it was all very exciting for me. But I think after 6 months, it kind of got a little monotonous for me, corporate life, doing the same thing from morning to evening, every day, and then coming back, sitting behind your laptop for hours. So that was kind of getting to me. And slowly I started realizing that waking up in the morning and heading out for the job I do was not the most exciting thing to me. I started dreading having to wake up, and so I used to probably call in late a couple of days just so that I could get some extra sleep in, and I was not enjoying it much. And in the course of my Zomato journey, one of my friends, a really good friend of mine, he told me he was going to check out this yoga studio, and he really knew I liked yoga. So he's like, I'm going to check it out. Do you want to come with me? So I was like, okay, why not? So I went, and as soon as I stepped into the studio, so this studio is known as 136.1 Yoga Wellness Academy.
Oh, that's quite a well-known chain.
Yes, very well known. So it started in Dubai, if I'm not wrong, and they have many branches all over India.
Okay.
And so I went in with him, and I fell in love with the ambience, with the energy of the place, with all the props that were there. And, people, I could see people through the glass doing their classes. And I was like, oh my God, this is heaven, So I was like, I don't mind doing a trial class. So I took a trial class and I enjoyed it. So much so that I decided after that one trial class that I wanted to pay up for a month and do it. And after that, there was just no looking back. So my yoga journey started via me having a job in Zomato.
Oh, okay.
And slowly from the corporate world, I kind of weaned off and got into yoga full time.
Okay. So I'll ask you how you got into, how you decided to do the course. And but let me also just fill up about myself.
Of course, please.
Yeah, so basically my journey was quite similar to yours, Rhea. That's why I got very interested to talk to you. I got into yoga when I was about 5 years old, where I found a book on yoga, and it was just in a house that we had moved into. The previous occupants had left it behind, and I found it behind the bookshelf one day, and I started doing some yoga poses from that. I started copying and doing them. I found them very simple and some of them very challenging. And some of them have stayed with me all through. So that was my first exposure to yoga. And later, of course, when I finished school and I went to college and started working in an ad agency, and in advertising, the stress levels are pretty high, but I was coping really well. And I was also very ambitious. And I would always do yoga or any workout in the morning before going to work. And I could see that some of my colleagues were not so de-stressed as I was. Right. So while I was still in advertising, I joined the Muktananda Ashram, that is Gurudev Siddhapeeth, as a devotee. And they give you a seva. And the seva that was assigned to me was a teaching seva. So I was part of this mandali where there were other people from other professionals, also an architect, me, and there was a yoga teacher as well. And we had to go and teach the Learn to Meditate 3-hour course or the 12-hour Shaktipat course, which is an intensive. And I had to go and live in an ashram near Mumbai in Ganeshpuri for a month. And I got trained over there. Wow. And came back to Delhi, and we used to go to different companies. And I remember once we went to a corporate, which was ONGC in Dehradun, and we set up a hall for them to come and meditate. And we had placemats for everybody to sit down. But when the engineers came in, they looked inside the hall and they started laughing. They said, we cannot even sit on the floor. We've not sat on the floor since 20 years. So that's when it first hit me that people need yoga more than they need meditation, at least some of them. So then all that went on, and I was like busy with my work. And on the side, I had these classes to do, which was voluntary. And later, when after I became a mother and I realized that there's a small baby to look after, and also there were aged in-laws at home. So I figured that there was no way that I can go back to a 9-to-5 job or a 9-to-9 job, which advertising is really. So I had to look within and take out something from within, like my hobby or some other interest, which I could do part-time. I was very clear that I wanted to do something part-time, which would keep me enriched and yet be able to give me time to devote to the child and the family. So that's how I took yoga out of the bag, and I decided to go into it, and I started teaching 1 or 2 people. And then of course, at some point honesty hits you and you feel, oh my God, I'm doing this, but I love it, I know it, but I don't have the certification. So then I went into some courses. I did a course in yoga. I was working with a trainer in Bangalore. He's an Iyengar yoga trainer, Sri H.S. Arun. So I worked with him in Jayanagar for many years, and he was running a course and he invited me. So I got the first certification from him. And then later I went on to do my Reebok certification in fitness. And parallelly, I was doing yoga and fitness. I was teaching to corporates. And for
Wow.
many years, I've done that. Then I moved to gyms, then I moved to yoga centers, and finally I started teaching in a temple in Bangalore. And
Wow.
now, for the
Temple.
last 6 years, I teach at the Sri Aurobindo Society in Bangalore. And
Okay.
this is it's a spiritual lineage of Sri Aurobindo and Mother. They head that. The main center is in Pondicherry and at Orville, and I teach here in Bangalore for them. So now,
That's amazing.
so that's basically my little journey. Now, talking about you, Rhea, so I'm very interested. What prompted you to become a trainer? How was the transition, Rhea, from having this corporate job and still going to yoga classes and loving it, and still wanting to quit it all? That's like a big thing for you. You know, you were only say 23 or 24 by then. So
Yeah.
how did that happen? I would like to
Um,
know that.
so I always knew, I was not cut out for a corporate. Somehow, I just internally felt that, this is not something I'd enjoy. But I was never like against giving it a chance. So I was like, okay, I did give it a chance. And Zomato being the most, I don't know if I could say, the most chill corporate, lifestyle that you could have, because it's not too intense. Hours are flexible, and the employees are also pretty young. Everyone
Okay.
starts off at only 20, 21, and it goes up to like 30, 35. So the whole group is pretty young and lively. So it's not a very serious environment to be in to begin with. So
Okay.
I think that's what even kept me there for a year,
Mhm.
just being around young people, and having the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Everything was working out. But like I said, I just did not like the monotony of it all. And
Mhm.
having to do the same thing over and over again, deal with people, the same kind of situations again and again, on repeat. It was like a stuck record going on and on. And then it became quite competitive. I'm guessing that
Yeah.
corporates get very, very competitive.
Yeah.
And for me, it was not very healthy competition. It was ruining. I could see friendships getting ruined. And it was just a very not a very happy place to be in,
Yeah.
like mentally.
Yeah.
So my yoga classes, so I joined the yoga classes, and I used to go every evening at around 4:30 was my class. And I would leave office a little earlier, obviously, to attend my class. And that used to be the highlight of my day, my yoga class. Because for me, yoga is meditation. The practice of yoga itself is my meditation. Like, I don't have to sit in a place, close my eyes, center myself.
Yeah.
I don't have to do any of that. For me, 1 hour of practice, asana practice, where it just consumes me completely. Like,
Right.
I am so present in the moment. I am so like aware of everything I'm doing, and I'm enjoying it so much, so that I don't want it to end. As
Yeah.
soon as the yoga class begins, I just want it to go on and on and on. That's the kind of headspace I am in when I do yoga.
When you do yoga.
So
Okay.
yeah, so
Mhm.
it used to like be such a beautiful, like, fresh of breath air in my day, the classes I used to go to.
Okay.
And just the energy of the
Nice.
people coming to do yoga, everyone was so encouraging. If you learn something new, or you do something new which you haven't done
Yeah.
before, they used to, like, come up to you and be like, wow, you've improved so much.
Yeah.
And that used to feel so good.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone used
I
to
totally
reciprocate.
relate to that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So I think looking forward to doing that every day, and that being the highlight of my day, I just realized, that, and fortunately, my body really took to it like a fish in water. So whatever was given to me,
Mhm.
I didn't have to, like, it was not a struggle for me. It just flow. How do I say it? It just flow through me, right? Like,
Okay.
it was just I just adapted to yoga so
Mhm.
well that I loved it so much. So
Yeah.
it was something to think about, right? Because I was like, I'm enjoying doing this so much.
Yeah.
I should totally, like, venture out into seeing what prospects I have in this, if I have a future in this stream,
Mhm.
rather than hating waking up every day doing something I really don't like, and something that is not serving me at all. other than giving me a paycheck at the end of the month. Other than that, it was not really making me happy. So I was like, maybe I can, like, look into these things. So obviously I did my R&Ds, I did research on, what all I could do in this field. So I was like, of course, becoming a yoga instructor was the very first thing. But everyone aspires to be a yoga instructor. Everyone can't be a good teacher. You can learn well, you do things well, but it's very hard to um, teach the same thing, right? So I was a little skeptical about that. However, I was like, no, maybe if whatever I learn and I understand, and I spoke to my mom about it, and I was like, I learned this today, and the way I used to talk about it, she
Oh,
really
you told
understood.
me your mom was also a teacher earlier, right?
Yes, she was. She did her certification under the Vivekananda School of Yoga.
Oh,
And she was an instructor earlier in the days, so a couple of years back. Yeah,
so she
she
was
used
an
to take.
inspiration for you at home when you were growing up.
Most definitely, most definitely. She used to take yoga for all the neighborhood kids. I remember there were around 8 or 9 of us that used to go every Friday, Saturday in the evenings. We used to do yoga with my mom,
Oh,
and she used to
so
make
sweet
up
of
these
her to
like.
do that.
So of course we were kids, so we won't know the crux of
Yeah.
yoga, right? So she used to form these stories around her teachings. When we has to do the tree pose, she'd like form a little story and make us believe that we were trees in a storm, and how we have to hold our ground and be rooted. And that's how I actually learned a lot of
Oh,
my yoga, through
okay.
my mom. So
That's so sweet.
yes, I did do yoga as a kid. I think I was around 7 or 8 when I actually
Okay.
began doing yoga. Yeah.
So I
So
like what
like I
you said about yoga being like taking you to a meditative state. And
Yes.
that's why they say that yoga is basically meditation in action.
Yes.
So that's
Yeah.
all right. So now we'll move on. And so what about your career path? Like, where do you see yourself, say, a year from now or 5 years from now?
I eventually want to be able to own my own studio. Right.
Okay.
That is the aim.
Mhm.
But right now, in a year's time, if you ask me where I see myself in a year, I see
Yeah.
myself getting as much exposure as I possibly can as a teacher.
Okay.
So I really want to take this time. So I am 25, and I think now is the best time for me to travel around, teach in various places, learn different cultures, seek what other people are looking for, because everyone doesn't look for just one thing when they join yoga. There are so many different things people are seeking for, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to limit myself to just one group, what do you say, one studio, one city. I
Yeah.
want to travel around, see what everyone is seeking for, what everyone wants to learn, what everyone is learning. So
Yeah.
I think instead of only just being a yoga instructor at this point, I am also very much a student as well. So
Yeah.
my role is a 50-50. I am an instructor, I do take classes, I do teach, and I enjoy that. But I am still very much a student who is still
Yeah.
seeking, who is still learning, and who is still growing. So
Oh, yeah.
in a year's time, I think I am still going to just continue on this journey of learning as much as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's nice to hear. And you have a long journey ahead of you because you're only 25 and there's so much to learn. And we learn every day. Like, I learn something new every single day. Like, there's not a single day that goes by with me not learning something about yoga. So the research goes on, and you should definitely explore different options, as you said, and like make it more accessible to everyone. So that,
Yeah.
and by doing that, you'll be doing a great service to humanity. There are a lot of people who need this. So yeah, so now let me also just fill up about my career. So over these last 20 years, I would say that I was very lucky, and I also worked hard, and I got some great jobs, which were, one was with a leading gym chain in Bangalore. So I was their general manager, and I had to look into sales and all kinds of things and growing the different branches. So we launched a new flagship branch, and so my input there was to introduce yoga on the gym floor. So we had yoga happening in the middle of the gym floor, and people who were doing their workout with the strength training equipment would come and do stretches. So that was really nice. And we had a mini class happening. Some people would just come in for yoga. And in another branch of theirs, I set up a yoga floor, which was a separate space for yoga. So that was also very successful. And I've also worked with a leading international app. I was heading the yoga division for 3 years. So I have that experience as well. And that's how my growth curve has gone, because I got these corporate jobs in yoga. And then finally, I'm now just teaching at an ashram. And now, because of the lockdown, everybody, you and me, are both doing online classes, and that's so interesting. And we were discussing the other day on a chat. So now, you were also mentioning about the professional courses you did. The one was at India Yoga, and then Mysore. So, do you want to tell us something about that? How was your experience when you actually went to do a training? As different from a class that you attended in Chennai.
Very different.
How many hours was this training, and did you have to?
I did my certification for 250 hours. It was over a course of 1 month, and it was a residential program in Mysore.
Oh, lovely.
So I had to stay at the Shala for a month, and it was from Monday to Saturday, and Sundays we got off. So that was 4 days off altogether.
Oh, okay.
Every Sunday, right? Obviously, like I said, I had my life happening as it was in Chennai, but just that 1 hour was dedicated to my yoga, which I enjoyed doing. And it was so exciting to me that I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And to become more serious at this, I should definitely do a certification. So after 8 months of me practicing yoga at the studio was when I decided to actually take the step forward and quit my job and sign up for this certification, right? And I did all my R&Ds looking at different schools, different institutions, different places that do these certification courses. And I found that India Yoga was quite, well known and quite recommended by many people. And I knew of a certain person who had, done her certification from the same place. So I had a word with her, and she had only good things to say about it. So I was like, okay, why not? I've heard too many good reviews not to take this up. So I applied for it. And the minimum, qualification for it was you have to be doing 6 months of yoga continuously. And I had been doing 8. So I was like, okay, I mean, not 8, I had been doing 11. By the time I went for the course, I had been doing around 11, almost a year of yoga. So I was like, okay, so this is good. I'll definitely be able to do this.
Yeah.
So once I got there, I was mind blown in a good way and in a bad way. But, our days started at 5:30 in the morning. So we had to our wake up call was at 4:30, and we had to get ready. Our practice started at 5:30 sharp in the morning, and our days went on till 9:30 in the night. 9:30 in the night was lights off.
Oh,
so we had something or the other happening. Either it was practice, either it was pranayamas, or it was philosophy or anatomy or technical classes. Something or the other went on throughout the day. And I called my parents after the very first day, like before, going to sleep. I called my parents, and they were like, so how is it? How are you liking it? And I was like, I feel I've been here a week already. It's not even been a day. I haven't even gone to sleep yet. And I feel like I've been here already a week. That day was so super long, and there was so much packed into that one day. I haven't never been so productive in my life before. I could say that. And it just took me by surprise. And eating sattvic food, following a routine, waking up at the same time every day, sleeping at the same time every day, doing things on time, and very systematic. And I've never lived a lifestyle like that, to be honest.
Hours go by in minutes.
And it took me by surprise, because I was like, oh my god, this is not something easy that I've signed up for. Like, it's definitely not easy. But it was amazing, because my interest in the subject was so much so that my interest and my curiosity and my love for yoga took me through it. There were many people who did join the course but found it extremely hard to get through, because they were like, at the end of it, I don't think I am going to pursue becoming a yoga teacher. I don't think, and doing all this seems like such a toll on me, and things like that. So I know quite a few people who did not enjoy it as much, but it was just the most amazing experience for me. And before leaving, all of us had tears in our eyes because none of us wanted to leave. All of us wanted to stay another month, do another extended course, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. But I'm definitely keen on going back as soon as the shala opens again after the COVID situation allows. I'll be definitely going back to do another level. So.
Another level. Okay. I'm also going to talk about what you want to do later on. That was very interesting about traveling the world. We'll come to that. So let's also go over any anecdotes that you have to share with everyone, because in this council we are about 21 women, and there are a lot of yoginis, as I said, and some of them have given me questions to ask, and we've been covering them slowly. So I think one of the interesting questions is about any interesting anecdote that you have, and I will also relate mine while you think of what you're going to say. So I was talking about this yoga class that I used to attend with Shri H.S. Arun. He's an Iyengar yoga teacher in Jayanagar, Bangalore. So I had signed up for the morning batch, and I soon found out that he had 4 batches in the day. So I started going to any batch as per my convenience, and I would attend. So one fine day he was standing outside and he said, which batch are you from? I said, sir, I'm from the morning 6:15 batch or the 8:15, I don't know which one. So he said, oh, but now it's not that time, this is another time. So I said, yeah, because I'm a trainer and I also have a child, and I just want to come in whenever I can because flexi. So he said, no, you can't do that. You have to stick to your time batch and you can only come then. So you can't come whenever you want to this class. So I was like so taken aback, and I was like rooted to the spot. So he went in, he took that class, and I decided to wait for him. And I was feeling so bad about this, and I think his class was about an hour and 15 minutes. And when he came out, after all the students had left, he came out and he saw me standing in that same place. So he said, oh, you haven't gone as yet? I said, no, I just wanted to talk to you. And I explained my limitations and why I wanted a flexi timing. And I think that probably melted him, and he agreed. He said, okay, you can come whenever you want to. And then when he offered a course, I was one of the 12 people that he invited. Wow. So I think it's these small anecdotes which make our yoga journey so beautiful. I also have a lot of experiences with Guru Mai Chidvilasananda, who heads the Siddha Yoga lineage. I'll talk about that on our next talk. Maybe I'll cover that when we discuss next week. But why don't you share an anecdote from, or any story from your experience, Rhea?
I would like to talk about, so when I joined the studio, like I said, 136.1, right? The first class I took was an Iyengar yoga class. So it had a lot of prop use. And me learning yoga as a child has never done yoga with props. So it was always, using your body, stretching it out, getting into postures, breathing in the postures. But when I walked into that class, the first thing the teacher asked us to pick up was a chair. And I was like, okay, this is peculiar. I mean, I've never done yoga with a chair. That's weird. So she made us do all sorts of things with the chair. She's made us do a chakrasana with the chair. She's made us stretch the hamstrings. She's made us bend over in downward dog. And I was like, oh my God, this is absolutely amazing use of a chair. I just used it to sit on, but what is happening here? So that's what really, sucked me in more than anything else. Just the playfulness in the whole, a system of yoga. Like, honestly speaking, when I joined yoga, I thought yoga was a little bit serious, but just a lot of, it was just very beautiful to me, but I always looked at it as a more serious art form, So once I went there and I met my guru, his name is Mr. Saranyashwant. So he's the one who's guided me through and through, and he is still my guru who still guides me through and through. So I joined his class, and he brought in so much play into yoga, which made it so much fun, usage of ropes, usage of straps, usage of blocks, and he made it stand on them, test your balance, test your endurance, test your strength, and you're just like, oh my God, I did not know my body was capable of this. And day on day, he'd make you surprise yourself rather than him surprising you with the things he brought to the table. You'd be surprised that you could even do something like that. Your mind couldn't comprehend it, but your body did it. So I was like, things like that. So that's what I think really stood out for me in my entire journey, that I was allowed to bring so much play into the institution of yoga.
So there are a lot of young people who are joining this talk and who have been listening. So we are getting a lot of questions, and we are going to compile them all together. And the next session, when we do on the 21st of August, that's also Friday. So then we'll cover all the questions that people have been putting, and there are quite a few questions to you, Rhea, today. And now let's also look at what was the reaction of your family and social circle on your career choice. So that's a question. So maybe let me go with that first. So then the thing was that the reason I wanted to also become a trainer was that by the time my baby was 6 months old, I was really fit.
Anshu, can I just cut you there? I just wanted to know I'm sorry if it's a rude question, but I just want to know at what age did you decide to take this as your career path?
Oh, well, I was about 30 when I decided, So my baby was 2 years old by then. And before that, I was doing a class with just one or two friends, and also my child's pediatrician and his wife, who was a doctor as well, and some people. They wanted to learn from me because I had suddenly become very fit. Of course, I was breastfeeding for the longest time, almost 2 years. So I had a small class on the terrace for people, and then I was getting restless with it because I was missing my working days, my career, and I decided to approach corporates, and I would. Through friends, I came to know about different HR people, and then I would either call them or go across to meet them. And if it required, I would even drive on my own. Like I remember once I went to Infantry Road, I parked my car and walked into 4 or 5 offices. And I asked to meet the HR. Back in those days, it was much easier, of course, to first of all, to drive to different places and also to enter buildings. You didn't need an appointment. You could just ask for the HR manager and you could go and meet them and speak about them wanting to start classes, and more or less I would get a yes. So I also did Hindustan Levers, IIM Bangalore, a whole lot of IT companies in Bangalore like Novell, Aditi, iFlex, Command International Software. So there were a whole lot of companies that I did classes for, and that was like a time when we could, as I said, travel in the evenings to different companies and take class. Now you can't even think about it with the traffic situation.
Right.
And when my classes increased, of course, I hired a lot of trainers to work with me. So at one point I had 15 trainers working for me. So what I'm saying is that in about a year, the business had grown to such an extent. It had become a business, of course, from a hobby. Suddenly I realized I had a business to handle, and I had so many trainers working for me. But then I downsized because my kid was growing up and he was going into first grade by then. So when he was 6, I decided to not do the evening classes, and that's when I moved to the centers. So the reaction of family was initially everyone would ask me, what do you do? So I said, I teach yoga. So, but what else do you do? Like, are you not planning to go back to your job? Is what everyone would ask. I said, no, this is it. Like, I like teaching fitness and yoga, and that's what I'm going to stay with for some time. And the choices, the choice of going and teaching in a gym was maybe not something that people in the family really liked, and it was frowned upon. And my timings were sometimes frowned upon because I had this early morning class and I started sacrificing sleep. So I would wake up at 4, get ready, have a shower, go and leave the house by 5, go and take a 5:30 to 6:30 class and still be back home before my kid woke up. So so that was very surprising for some people. And also in the evening, the classes, similarly, I was going in the evening, but then I had, at the end of the day, I can say that I had support from my child as well as the family. So it was all very good.
That's wonderful.
And yeah, so you tell me, how was the reaction of your social circle and your family on your career choice?
I was a little skeptical, to be honest, to tell my parents that I wanted to quit my job, because they were the ones who wanted me to do an MBA, and because of
Oh yeah,
that,
MBA.
I had asked them if I could get some job experience first, or work experience first, before going ahead with my masters, and they were like, yeah. So I just knew that that this is not for me, and this is where I'd like to go at. So one day I reached office, and before going up, so I hung around in the basement for like a few minutes, contemplating, okay, what should I do? Like, I really don't want to go up there. So I really want to talk to my parents about this, but it's kind of just building that courage to tell them that this is where my head is at right now. So I knew for a fact that my mom would be very supportive. Like I said, she was a yoga instructor herself. So I knew my mom would be very supportive, but I was not too sure of my dad. Yes. So I was like, okay, instead of calling my mom, why not like completely jump into the fire and just call my dad? So I picked up the phone without thinking twice, because if I thought again and again, then I would talk myself out of it. So I didn't want to do that. So I immediately picked up my phone and I called my dad, and he picked up. And as soon as I heard his voice, I broke down on the phone, because I was so scared. I was just like, oh my God, what's going to happen? So I broke down on the phone, and he was like, what happened? And I was like, I'm not feeling too good. And he's like, there's no need to cry, you can just go to the doctor. And I'm like, no, that's not what I mean. I'm not feeling too good in my job. This is not something I want to do. So he's like, okay, talk to me, like, relax, there's no need to cry. So I was like, okay. So then I told him, that this is definitely not something I like doing. I want to get out there, and I'm thinking of making yoga my profession. And he's like, okay, wow, then why don't you put down your resignation papers and look into what you can do in yoga? I was just like, wait, what? Am I hallucinating? Am I really listening to this right now? And he was so supportive from the very first second of me, expressing my feelings about being a yoga instructor. So
that's so nice.
I think both my parents were very supportive, and he's like, as long as it takes, you don't have to worry, you don't have to rush into things, take it as slow as possible. Learning yoga, doing your certifications, that is also an education. So if not an MBA, then yoga does the job. You're still getting educated, you're still learning, you're still growing, you're still making something of yourself. So whatever it is, whatever makes you happy, we're very happy to support you. So I think that's what gave me the courage to actually put down my papers and take the risk, because of course, going into it, I wasn't sure how to go about it, or even if I get a certification, how am I going to start teaching? How am I going to build my own, net of students? Or where am I going to teach? How am I going to get a job? There were so many questions, in my head. But just having your parents support you, I think, is such a huge deal, that it just gives you the courage to, take that unknown step forward and,
I
just
totally
battle
agree.
through. Yeah. My friends as well, my social circle as well, they were so supportive, and they were so pleasantly surprised by this step of mine, because it's not very common that people take the route of being a yoga instructor, right? And especially at 23. So
now there's a lot more awareness than it was way back then, and about different career choices, and sports and fitness has really come up.
Fitness has become a huge aspect for people to prospect, get into, and work at. So even my friends, very supportive, very encouraging, and suppose I'm doing something small, they're always ready to advertise it a little for me, put it out on their little groups and put it out on their Instagram pages, just helping me out a bit. And I think that's very comforting, very encouraging. So I mean, I truly am blessed to be supported by
you are so
everyone.
blessed to have great friends. Awesome. It's been so nice talking to Rhea. So I also look forward to the talk on next Friday, the 21st of August. And just to share with everyone what we'll be covering on those days, we'll be talking about the vision that each of us have for the future. And also, I'm keen to know what Rhea wants to do for the community. So
Yes.
since she's so young, I'm sure she has lots of things up her sleeve for the community. That's going to be very interesting for us, for me and the council members to know. And Luwina Rangel, our president of the council, she'll be very keen to know that as well. And how do you integrate yoga in your life, and what are your life goals? That's another aspect that we'll be covering. And we've covered a whole lot of things about your childhood, and your, of course, the year that you decided to jump into yoga, and what was the perception then, and what is the reality, is something that we'll cover on the 21st.
Okay.
And also, whether you're making a decent living out of yoga, that's another.
Yes, that is very important to discuss.
It's a very sensitive subject. We'll be covering that as well. And with this, I'm going to take leave, and Rhea and I are going to now decide to talk again next Friday, the 21st at 5 p.m. again. So thank you all. Please do log in on the Facebook Live next week again on the 21st at 5. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
so
Andrea. Thank you also.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Lovely talking to you, and looking forward to the next talk.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you. Bye-bye.